Hello, folks. Welcome to Between Awesome and Disaster. This is your host, Will Carey. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you are doing well. If you are in the Northeast, on the East Coast in New York City, I hope you are finally enjoying some comparatively clean, particle-free air, or less particles. This week, smoke and haze from Edmonton, Quebec area, Canadian wildfires descended down onto New York City. Wednesday and Wednesday especially, but Tuesday going into Wednesday and a little bit on Thursday, the entire city was blanketed in a thick orange haze that combined with like the sun attempting to peek through, the entire city looked like something out of like Blade Runner or some sort of like a sepia filtered, like more or less the entire city became like a either nostalgic for the looking as if it was nostalgic for a bygone era, or it was looking forward to a ever increasingly possible and realistic dystopian future. I was fortunate enough to not have to be outside in it too much. A lot of people I know that was not the case. It was another era of, now that the COVID emergency has officially ended in the United States, it just feels like there's another thing that's coming to affect us. And of course, my friends on the West Coast are very familiar with this concept, but I feel like the air quality got into like seriously unhealthy. It was like it's normally, if like India is in like the high 100s, New York on this past Wednesday was up to 400. It was truly bonkers. It was like walking around on Mars. It was truly incredible. And I got to be honest, it looked pretty cool. But it's like not a great thing to see. I think the thing I said to my dad when we were talking about it was this haze, it's like a tiger. It's really cool to look at, but it's gonna kill you someday, somehow. You don't know when. To mention today, Alex Anderson is on the show today. My guest, Alex, is the lead singer of the pop punk band Brooklane, who are a super excellent, super catchy, kind of modern punk band in this sort of like modern day renaissance that is happening. They're a band that I think a lot more people need to know about. I personally love their stuff. My friend Paul from my sketch comedy group turned me on to them, and I was fortunate enough to get to chat with Alex when I reached out to the band's management. We learned a lot about the sort of origins of all the members. Something that makes more sense now listening to the band. They have a lot of influences in the like deathcore and heavier music scenes that they've now kind of incorporated into this very catchy, very melody focused pop punk sound. And they're also a band based in North Dakota. And I believe, if I'm remembering this correctly, longtime listeners of this podcast will know that for the longest time when I would look at my analytics on Libsyn, I could not see any specific listens in North Dakota. I had at least had somebody download an episode at one point in all of the states, and North Dakota was the last one that I didn't have anything for. And so when I finally got those North Dakota listens, it was nice to be able to say I've had a download in all 50 states. So maybe with this episode, we can up the Between Awesome Disaster fans in North Dakota with this one. But this is an incredibly great song. A lot of great songwriting talk on this one as well. And if you are not familiar with Brooklane's music, you can get their latest release is a song called Stay Toxic. It actually has full EP out now, which has a lot of super catchy songs. And then one of my other favorite things that I enjoyed that introduced me to the band is their cover of Dynamite, I believe by BTS. I'm not as hip as I should be at the previous moment. But Brooklane, it's available wherever you get your music. Check them out, and let's talk to their lead singer, Alex Anderson. Like, I could probably plan a little bit more and be more of a journalist, but that's like not what I love about podcasting about punk rock in general is the overly like being too planned out, you know?
Yeah, I got you.
But dude, I love you. I love your band. Very excited to chat with you here. I have a lot of things that I want to discuss. The first of all, I was doing a little bit of research. Brooklane are a relatively new band, right?
So I mean, we've been around now for about like 2.5 years. Kind of, we've just really started, hitting the ground running about a year and a half ago.
Hmm.
But
So
we've been around.
okay, so like 2.5 years. So that would have. So did you guys form during the pandemic?
Pretty much. We kind of started the project a little bit before that, but we couldn't find any like committed members, and they're kind of hard to find here up in North Dakota. People who are committed and into
Mm-hmm.
the same type of music you are. But during the pandemic, we kind of found our set members that we had,
Uh-huh.
and really decided to take that time at home. When everybody was hunkering down for the pandemic, to really start writing some new songs and
Mm-hmm.
getting our stuff out there.
Yeah. So did you? This was done like I'm guessing all over the internet, like
Yeah,
arranging this.
when we first got together, yeah, we in fact we were actually just we were all practiced up right before the pandemic hit, and we had our first show, planned and everything, and then the pandemic hit, and then we were right back to square one again, just kind of like, oh, now we can't play shows, so
Right.
we just took that time to write.
Yeah. You like you were one of the few people that's like, oh, I've got some. I got an opportunity to take some time to do something, and then you actually did it. That's rad, Alex.
Right. Yeah, we went for it. We were just like, everybody's at home right now. And so that was kind of our plan of attack, because like everybody didn't have really anything to do but listen to music and, just do some entertainment stuff at home. So we're just like, let's just hit it hard during the pandemic, and maybe we could, get something good out of this. So,
Yeah, totally. And let's hop on some lives. See
right.
see what we can do.
Yeah.
Rad. That's rad, man. So that's really cool. You're able to like make something positive out of that. So I'm guessing you were probably in bands before this then.
Yeah. We were kind of seasoned musicians before we kind of came into it. Like, I'd been in bands previously, probably for like a 10-year period before that. We actually started in like deathcore. We were all deathcore members.
Oh yeah.
And then we just, I listened to pop punk growing up and stuff. That was my main love.
Mm-hmm.
So after, doing the hardcore stuff for a while, I was like, you know what? I kind of miss, the pop punk scene and stuff. I really want to try to make something new out of this and, do my singing voice. So
Uh huh.
we decided to go that route.
Rad. Isn't it interesting how I feel like a lot of, and I'm 37. I don't know how old you are, but I feel like, especially now, a lot of, we're all coming back to our roots of where we started. Like I got into, like, what got me into music was pop punk and all that kind of early 2000s stuff.
Right.
And then I had my like real punk phase where I was listening to a lot of hardcore, and stuff. I never quite got into deathcore until I didn't even really know much about it till recently. But now I'm like full background. I'm just like get my Dickie shorts. I'll put some insoles into my Vans. I'm like living my best life as an elder emo now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, there's just nothing like the pop punk scene, man. It's just fun. Everything about it is fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And was there what was going on in North Dakota? First off, what's going on in North Dakota? Just end of sentence. I have no sense of the
Oh
state at
man,
all.
nothing really. I mean, it's we really, any opportunity we can to get out of the state, we take it. So
Uh huh.
there's not really a whole lot going on. I mean, our biggest city we have is close to 200,000 people, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not, you know, the main place anybody would want to go for entertainment wise.
Right. And that Fargo?
So Fargo, yeah, Fargo's the biggest city. Like, we're all from like little small towns around it.
Sure.
But yeah, everybody out of state only really knows Fargo anyway, pretty much. So
Yeah.
we just said, yeah, we're from Fargo. Screw it.
Yeah, no, I do the same thing. I'm from Southern Maryland, which is about an hour from Baltimore, so I just say Baltimore
Yeah.
because it's a lot easier than trying to explain. Well, if you take the highway down an hour and just turn right eventually.
Right.
Yeah, I've been doing a joke in my stand up about I actually learned that I'm not even from a town. I'm from a census designated place. That's how small the area I'm from is. Just like a loose collection of people living in the woods where the government's like, we should probably keep an eye on that.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That's pretty close to like where we grew up, man. I think my class was maybe 20 people.
oh
My whole
wow,
class, yeah.
oh
So
wow, that's
our
really
whole
tiny.
my whole hometown is like 1,200 people.
That's wild. So I imagine like if you found like one other person who kind of liked the same kind of music you did, that person became your best friend.
Pretty much, yeah. And like as far as like forming the band too, like since we all have lived in the same Fargo area before too. Like that's how we got to know each other. But
Hmm.
like I mean, when I was the last year, like actually when we formed the band, I was working way out by like the Montana border. So like even to practice, I'd drive 4 hours and 20 minutes to go, to where they were to practice. So
Uh huh.
it was
Yeah.
you have to really sacrifice a lot to be in a band from North Dakota because it's all driving and trying to find the people to fit in the band and people that want to do it. Like you're gonna be making a drive.
Oh, totally. And especially like I remember watching stuff from that band Medina Lake because they're kind of based in the Chicago area. So
Okay.
they would do lots of those Midwest drives and lots of back when bands would do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, just like driving through Kansas is just really long, really flat.
That's man. I think the one that we struggle the most with is going through Wyoming. That one is
Oh
uh
yeah.
that one is just nothing. Like we couldn't even hardly find gas stations that were even functioning to get anything to eat or anything. So that was
Uh
fun.
huh. Oh yeah. Do you have like a go to gas station snack when you're on tour? I'm curious.
Oh man, I think we just all of us like food a lot, so like, we're not really picky. So I mean, anything that
Uh
looks good, man, we'll go for it. We really like because we don't have Wawas around here,
huh.
so like anytime we get a chance to go to Wawas, Bucky's, or something like that, that's we're taking that opportunity because we have just the standard holiday, just
Yeah.
regular gas stations. Speedway is probably our least favorite. No, Quick Trip. It's between Quick Trip and Speedway. I think Speedway is the worst. I think we don't like that one very much.
Gotcha. If you're up by Canada, you ever get like a Circle K or anything?
Circle K. No, so we don't have. I think we may, if we do, like it's maybe just one in Fargo. I'm
Uh
not
huh.
quite sure on that, but we have stopped at some Circle K's I think before too, and that was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I remember first time I went to a Circle K. I was driving through Canada and I got a Polar Pop and they're like, oh, they still use styrofoam up there, and I was
Oh
just
wow.
like, yeah. And I hadn't seen a styrofoam cup in I don't know maybe like 15 years or something like that. I was like, did I time travel when I crossed the border?
They probably haven't
Uh,
used them all since like the 70s.
oh yeah, it's just surplus. But you mentioned Bucky's, so I'm picking up on the Bucky's phenomenon of like the DIY and alternative bands. What do you think it is about Bucky's that is just so engenders this kind of loyalty amongst touring musicians?
I don't know. I think it just because it's such a huge gas station too. You can stop and like they have so much stuff in there, and like it's just a time where you can just get out of the van or whatever and just kind of stretch and just walk around for a while. And just the food there is amazing.
Uh huh.
So it's like of course you want to stop there because you can get like awesome like jerky and everything that they have of their own, like just snacks and stuff that they make that you can't get anywhere else. And I just think the novelty of it too. It's kind of like the Bass Pro fishing hats now. Like somehow that in the pop punk in, industry here, like everybody starts wearing these Bass Pro. I'm like, what is the deal with this? Like, when did that ever happen? But I'm
I
here
I
for it.
know. No, I know. Like lots of my friends in the like alternative comedy scene here in New York, it's all stuff that like my dad would wear. Like dad fashion is getting repurposed. I
Yeah,
don't know if we're just like if it's like some kind of reclaiming thing, or if everyone just made up with their dads at the same time. Uh,
yeah.
but
I think it's
it's
like all the stuff they
really
thought was
interesting to see.
not cool, during that time. They're trying to bring it back and make it cool now. So I mean, it's fashion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So when you're growing up in North Dakota, which suburbs and rural areas, I have if I was ever going to write a doctorate, this is my thesis. I feel like that's sort of like kind of pleasant suburban living kind of breeds the perfect sort of like environment for like pop punk music to occur because it's you don't get quite the hard edges you would get living in a major city,
Right,
but you still have to kind of push against something, even if it's benefiting you, kind
right.
of. So when you were growing, when you're growing up, did you have like a patient zero moment for your exposure to alternative music specifically. How did you get exposed to this music? Because I can't imagine it's easy in North Dakota to discover
So,
it like
you
without
know,
the internet.
I think growing up, there was always like a passion for finding new things out, like what's going on in the world. You know, when you live so secluded
Uh
out
huh.
here, like you want to go out and see big city buildings. You want to know what that city life is like. You know, like you want to know what
Sure.
like the new trending thing is. You know, because you get like North Dakota gets a bad rep. Like no, half the people that we go on tour, they don't even know that that state actually exists. You know, so it's like I think us growing up and knowing that and like so eager to like get out in the world and see what's out there. Like I think that drives your passion for music even more. Like just especially when you're a musician and you want to like get out there and get exposed and have people like see you.
Yeah.
It's just like your drive is like 20 times more because you also get the whole I got to get out of this town mentality that that pop punk has had. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's some truth to it because like I was always told everybody I was born in the wrong place, man. Like I've always wanted to go out to a big city and live in big city life and do all that kind of thing. It's just so like depressing when you're held back from that, living in these small towns.
Right.
It's the thing that really sucks you in up here. I will say good is the pay for like your jobs and stuff, right? Like that's what keeps you here, but it doesn't keep you happy no matter how much money you make up here. Like some people might
Sure.
like it, but it's like it's like a battle against yourself, like man, I got to get out,
Right.
of my comfort zone, and like I really want to get out there and do this type of life, like I want to make
Mm-hmm.
music and get out to the masses. And like I said, I think that's where all of us have felt, like I feel like we've tried 10 times harder to get out of this lifestyle and just go see what's out in the world, and
Uh
like
huh.
and make music, so
Yeah, totally. And did you have like a band that really opened your eyes to that?
so when we first started this band, like some of our biggest influence was State Champs
Uh huh.
and Neck Deep and all those bands that came around that area, like the 2014-15 era. Before when I was growing up, I was listening to like MXPX and like
Yeah.
all those older pop punks, kind of brought some like 182, all that stuff. But
Yeah. Oh my
um,
God, Blink 182's older pop punk now. Oh God, I
yeah,
better get my will together.
yeah.
uh, right on it. Oh my God, State Champ. Like I've had Seb's been on the show from Neck Deep. I love
Okay,
that
right
guy.
on. Yes,
He's such a got such a mind for like production and producing. I
right.
really liked him. But yeah, State Champs. That last album they did was just such a great album.
I mean, they always were. I think what really drew us to them is it was almost like we had never heard, like pop punk changes like every 6 months, it feels like, and sometimes even sooner than that depending on who comes in and does something new. But it was like the R&B aspect vocals that came with the runs and everything, and like we
Uh
never
huh.
heard that in pop punk. So
Yeah.
it was kind of cool. It was almost like Tyler Carter from Issues, like type of thing with metal.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had Derek from State Champs come in and do the runs, and they just absolutely killed it and killed the scene.
Oh
So
yeah. No, yeah, that's I've never heard anyone mention that specifically about them. That's really I'm gonna have to re-listen to them listening for that now,
oh yeah.
because you're totally right. Like that early 2000s, like your Blink, Sum 41, Newfound Glory kind of era. It was very much that like through the nose
Yep. Just
kind
straight
of
out
sound.
shout sing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when you get into like the 2010s, like Wonder Years, Man Overboard, uh, um, story so far, that's sort of like slightly more like the nice version of hardcore shouting.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of like, that the shouting, like the shout singing was like huge right before like MGK came in. You know what I mean? Like then it kind of changed the trap pop punk, like or whatever they were doing. Like, but like, yeah, before that it was like the stories far like the shout singing, like that was really popular. Like it's funny how pop punk just continuously like changes within like it's always like seems like a 5 or 6 month period. It just completely changes to something else.
I know. I think it's so cool. I feel it's really exciting to me that like the new kids are into pop punk. Like Brooklane, I think you guys have like very much an eye for like what's cool and happening now. But you also have like a kind of like a band sound. Like you don't sound like you're a solo artist. with a backing band, if that makes any
Right.
sense.
Yeah. We try to keep like our sound, like coming up with like the newer songs and stuff like that, where we try to keep like a raw piece of us, you know, like just like you get that like raw pop punk, because we really love the story so far too and stuff like that. So like we want to keep those roots, but then also keep up with the times and stay relevant too. So like a lot of our newer stuff
Hmm.
that you're going to be hearing coming out is going to be a lot more like pop rock influenced, but infused kind of with
Hmm.
like that story so far feel.
Very cool. I like that kind of sound a lot. I also I feel like what's the album by Bring Me the Horizon, started with an A, that was kind of more of a pop rocky kind of sound.
Oh yeah,
Um
gosh, I'm so bad with this too. But if I hear the song, I would know it, you know. But like, yeah, like, and it was cool because we used to, you know, Bring the Horizon. Their first album that came out was like super like deathcore. He loved it, and then like he just
uh-huh.
totally changed his scream up, like more mainstream, you know. And that, I mean, that was probably the best move they ever did. I mean, because now look at them, you know, they're huge. So I mean, they're a great band.
Yeah, it took me a while to come around to them because I remember when that first album came out, the one with like the girl holding her intestines
Yes.
in,
Yep.
and the song with like I think the song title was called "I've Read About Girls Like You on the Backs of Toilet Doors," and
Yep.
I was like, even I was pretty angsty for a long time, but even I was like, Jesus Christ, man, you need to talk to somebody. But
Yeah.
but that's where you kind of like got your start, was doing deathcore
Yeah.
bands.
Yeah, it was like I said, like I think too, like bring it back to like being in North Dakota, like you just wanted to do like the craziest like thing that everybody would hate here, you know, like, and everybody loved it out there. So
Sure.
you just like there's another thing you connected with people outside of the state. So like everything here was like country, you know, and like whatever. It's just like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I can imagine. And you knew when you heard that stuff, you knew you wanted to be because you're the lead singer in
yes, yep,
Brooklane, and you knew you wanted to do that from the beginning.
yeah. So yeah, I mean that's what I mean. I play guitar. I taught myself how to play guitar. I write songs. So it just I've always had like a passion for writing and everything, but like I said, my thing has always been singing. I've always had a passion for it, and that's what I've always
Uh-huh.
been, you know. So, and that's why, you know, with pop punk and stuff like that, I really enjoy just like singing. Like I like to scream too. It's fun to get it out every once in a while, but I didn't want to, you know, ruin my voice or anything like that. I just wanted to like showcase my own singing voice and enjoy that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense that you would like have like an ear for vocalists, as well, and like and vocal technique. That's really cool. On that subject, I've always wanted to ask this: is there a technique to do that sort of like kind of that growl and still be able to sing the next show?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, the more you do it and practice it, like there's different techniques of screaming and stuff like that too, and like I don't know. I guess I listened to a lot of like Melissa Cross, the Zen of Screaming and stuff like that when I was younger, trying to like get the
Uh
technique so I
huh.
didn't destroy it. And I scream all the time and never really damaged my voice. In fact, I find it harder now to save my voice, you know, just doing my regular singing voice because you know everybody could hear it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, whenever I scream, I've never really had a problem with it. The technique, you just kind of get it down. You know, just kind of do a little Cookie Monster sound with a little pushback in your throat. There's techniques all over YouTube now and that kind of stuff. But I feel like if you don't practice it at home enough, like you'll get it eventually. You know, it's just kind of trial and
Mm-hmm.
error.
Gotcha. So it's more about kind of like modulating your fear, like if I was
Like
gonna
you
do
had
like
it when you started, you had it. You know. So I mean, like you just kind of experiment. It's a lot of experimenting, you know. And like now you see some of these metal vocalists just going crazy, like Will Ramos from Lorna Shore. I mean, the guy's an absolute animal. It doesn't even sound human, you know. And he's like, they did a YouTube video on him where they put cameras down his throat because the doctor couldn't even believe like the
Uh-huh.
sounds coming out of it, you know, because he wanted to see what his vocal cords are doing. And he was like, dude, I
What
can't. I've never even seen this before. He's like, this is insane.
Man, that's going to be that's a book waiting to be written.
Yeah,
The etymology of deathcore
for
vocals.
real.
Yeah, I also one of my other favorite kind of sounds, extreme music sounds, is I don't know if you've ever listened to like slam. That's sort of
Yeah.
slam's like basically deathcore,
Yep.
more chromatic. That the vocalists in that genre, they all kind of I call it the Bud, like the Budweiser frog. They all do that
Yeah. The slow.
kind of, that sort of like angry ribbit.
Yep. Just the low growls.
Uh-huh. What was your deathcore band's name? Did you have
Oh
one
man,
like
way back in the day, we were called Vendetta Spoken, and then
oh, that's pretty
yeah,
good.
and that was it was yeah, it was like a lot of like melodic metal, but like we really infused some deathcore in it with the melodic guitars and stuff. So I don't know, it
Uh-huh.
was something. It was a project that we had. We did fairly well with it. Um, and then Lucas, he's still in one of his deathcore bands he does on the side too, and he's not
Oh
doing
yeah?
stuff with us. Yeah, and I can't even. I'm so bad. I don't even remember the name of his band. Oh my god. Um, if he was on the podcast, he could tell you, and then he could get it out there, right?
Yeah,
Oh my
well,
god.
or have your man, or I'll message you on Instagram or something. You could tell me what it
Yeah,
is if you think of it.
he was in one called Aramea was one of them, and then I can never remember the new one he's in.
hmm
But
and so when you're doing this heavier stuff, and then I guess so this would have been relatively recently. What made what was kind of the process for like thinking, you know what, it'd be cool to do a pop punk band.
like I said, that was always my first love. When I first started listening to music and stuff, it always started off lighter, and then I was like, whoa, what is all this screaming stuff? And it just was something new, and it was just awesome. I don't know, I just kind of went that way. But after all those years of doing like hardcore music and stuff, I really missed it. And seeing like the pop punk scene is like totally different than the metal scene. Like I know people come together like at festivals and stuff when it has it, but it has a certain like just happy, fun feel when you're in pop punk and just like hanging
Sure.
out with your buds and like, just doing crazy things and stupid things together and just saying dumb things. And just, it's always been accepted in the pop punk community. And I've always liked that
hmm
because I feel like you could just like be yourself more and like pop punk, just act like a total idiot like we do. And like,
hmm
it's just, it's fun. Everybody just joins in.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's so many pop punk songs about friendship.
Yeah.
Um and there's a lot of pop country about friendship as well, but if I'm thinking about it, I the only metal song I can think of that is about friendship and joy is Nothing But a Good Time by Poison.
Yeah. That's the 80s genre, like, but
Yeah.
there probably is, there's some like hardcore bands out there that sing about like friends and loyalty and stuff like that, but
hmm
it just, I don't know, it just doesn't have the feel that pop punk, I feel pop punk does it better, you know?
Yeah, I am very much on board with you on that for sure.
Yeah.
So Radman, okay, so you decide you're gonna do pop punk, and again, this is like in amidst the pandemic. So you were only able to do one show before the pandemic hit. Like what kind of places are there to play in your area
Fargo's
of the
probably,
country?
Fargo and then a little town of Minot. There's a really nice venue in Minot. He really hooks up the bands awesome when they come to play there. Big stage. Fargo is kind of like our biggest scene for music. There's a few places
hmm
there that we can play that's got pretty decent, venue size and like good stages and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
that's kind of about the only thing, unless you're a cover band and just travel around to the bars.
Yeah, which I'd rather just have a job.
Right.
I'd go back to work in Target before I do 3-hour cover band gigs again.
Yeah.
But that's I remember something else I wanted to say. So coming out of Brooklane, coming back again, it sort of makes sense to me because when I listen to like a song like "Stay Toxic" or "Anxiety," like there's some kind of happy crunch parts in those songs. Like I definitely find myself headbanging, but in like a very positive way. So like I feel like those deathcore influences are still
Yeah. So
are kind of
yeah, like a
living in
lot of
there.
our songs, like if you listen to them, they sound happy, but they have like a depressive twist to it in the lyrics. Like we wanted to kind of go that
hmm
route too. Like where like we want to be able to say things that like absolutely sucked in our lives, but we still wanted to have that happy, fun feel because I don't know. I guess like just to the listener too. I mean, like just to kind of give them that like hey, things are gonna be okay type vibe. Even though like the
Yeah,
lyrics might be a little depressive on some of them, like whatever, but like there's always like a happy twist that things are gonna be better.
exactly. Your music is not wallowing music. It is I'm over it and I'm ready to
Move
move
on.
on
Yeah.
kind of music, which is very refreshing from I feel like there was a lot of like girls are evil kind of music that I certainly listen to a ton of lot to. And then especially in deathcore, like how many "I'm gonna kill you with a chainsaw" songs
Yeah,
are
pretty
there in
much.
deathcore? There's
Yep.
that's like
That's like a lot of our songs too. We wanted to everybody to feel included and be able to relate to the lyrics too. That's like,
mhm.
I mean, I think we probably have a few that are like, oh, she did this or like whatever. But a lot of it, if you listen to it, we don't really involve just a girl or whatever. You know, it's like because it can be on both sides of the spectrum. So I mean, it's like you got guys that do the same things nowadays. I think like the stay toxic thing, we run into that a lot more nowadays. I just think
Yeah.
there's a lot of online stuff that like people get into, man, just makes it a lot harder to balance a relationship. That it's just kind of fun to write those lyrics because I think a lot of people nowadays can relate to it. Um, just because of like a lot of people think the grass is greener on the other side, in relationships because it's just right there at your fingertips, and so you get
Uh-huh.
into a lot of toxic stuff. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like and again, that's even like a conversation we've only started having as a culture recently is the even calling it toxic. I thought that was the super rad. I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you would maybe know the answer to this question. The intro of that song with that sort of like that sort of choppy electronic
yeah.
sounding part. Do you know what that is?
So I don't know. We went down to Andrew Wade to do that album, and then he's so good at just making effects and everything. So I think it's just a guitar, and then he just kind of like chopped it up in the editing, whatever, and put his effects
Uh-huh.
on it. But
Okay,
I
rad.
wouldn't be able to tell you what plug-in or anything he used for it. But that's
No worries. I saved that kind of nerding out for like the last 5 minutes. So okay, so you guys you're in lockdown, you're writing songs. And what did that look like? Were they bringing you completed instrumentals that you would write lyrics to? Were you like were helping with the
nope.
arrangement?
So
What did that look
so
like?
when we wrote "Roll with the Punches" during the pandemic, that was our first EP that we released. That was
Yeah.
all just wrote in our apartment. Like we wrote everything ourselves, everything, and then we would send it out to a guy to get mixed and mastered, and then we just
Okay.
released them. These new songs that you guys have been hearing, we went down, like I said, to Andrew Wade, who's did bands like Neck Deep, Wage War, A Day to Remember, and he just really put his sparkling touch on like, and we learned a lot too when we were in the writing process with him too on like how to write. Um, it was like a learning experience we'll never forget because he's so good at what he does. The guy's a guru. Um,
Mhm.
it was fun. It was a blast. We learned a lot, and I think it really shows in the new songs. The sparkle you put on them.
Yeah. Is there something that he said that really stood out to you at the time?
Especially like for like me writing vocals. I kind of got in the mindset like that. All these words have to rhyme. On every line. That the words have to
Mhm.
be so similar. Like, and he showed me like on a lot of the songs I never even really paid attention to that much because it sounded so close. Is like you could have a word that didn't even come close to sounding like the other one, and then the way that you pronounce it, you can still kind of make the rhyme with your mouth a little bit, and it comes out rhyming.
Yeah.
So like silent rhymes or whatever they call them. I'm not sure, but like the way that he wrote, like it's okay to do that, and it's always a question I've always had in the back of my mind. Is like, is it okay to do something like that? But you don't want to test it and have people be like, "Oh, this is stupid. Like, why would you do that?" But like coming from someone who you trust like that, like Andrew Wade, who's written
Yeah.
many awesome, platinum records, hearing him say that was a huge learning experience for me because hey, now I know what I can do this. Like I can write this and not have to worry about things like that. So
Yeah.
that helped a lot.
Yeah, he just sort of gives you that freedom to like don't to not second guess yourself,
That
just if it sounds cool, go for it.
that and like I think with a lot of musicians, it gives you a lot of security too. Like I think you have a lot of mind games going on when you're writing your own music. Everything is like, man, I don't know if this is going to be good enough to release, or like if this sounds good enough. I don't. You get to a point where you're just like, God, I hope this is okay. Send. But with him, it's
Mhm.
nice because you have him in the room, someone you can trust, and like someone who just like you give him an idea, and he's like, ah, that sucks, or oh, that's good. Like he'll tell you straight out. So you
Uh-huh.
learn a lot by just bouncing ideas off of him. It was great. It
Aw-
was one of the best times I've had as a musician going down there and learning from him.
So you record this first EP, and was this done completely independently?
The first one, Roll with the Punches was done all just by us in our apartment. Um, And then, like I said, the other EP that just came out now that we're releasing is coming out tomorrow. Well, tonight at midnight.
Sweet.
That one was all we have all 5 of those songs with Andrew Wade.
Very, very cool. That's rad. Something else I admire about you guys, and I think that it's something that could learn more about, is for a band, for I feel like any band to get noticed is an achievement in 2023, and especially I feel like if you're coming out of an area that has a very comparatively small scene, I think it's even more so. And before I got on here, I think it's you. There's a TikTok of you ripping your bandmate's shirt off to get him. So
Yep.
how? So like you've kind of. It seems like you have like a sense of social media. I'm curious. What is something you could tell a band that would help them maybe work TikTok into their sort of like promotional routine, or getting their music out there?
That's the toughest part. Um, so we got lucky enough to have, like I said, the shirt rip video go viral. That one really kind of helped us out, but also really hurt us in the end.
Uh-huh.
Because what happened is, we had the shirt rip video. I think over across platforms, it got like 21 million views between all of that, everything. But what happened was before TikTok, that was kind of right before they started with the algorithm type stuff. And what happened is they start pushing. Yeah, it was a funny, podcast or TikTok, and they started pushing that to people like in the wrong sections of TikTok. So
Right.
it got us a lot of views and stuff like that. And we did gain a lot of like music fans from it, but in the end, it's just TikTok. Once the algorithm kicked in, it's like it saw that video, it was like, oh, okay, so now I'm going to start pushing it to the comedy side of TikTok instead of like whenever we would come out with something with our music. Then it really hurt us because then it's like TikTok's algorithm now doesn't even know where to push us.
I see.
So it's just kind of like right now we're trying to get our account built back up and really start incorporating anything we do. Like if you've noticed, we've done more things with just our music now, and we're trying to get that out to the right parts of TikTok, the right fan base and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's been really hard trying to get that. So I guess my advice on that would be like is to even if you're doing music and you want to do something funny or whatever, just be sure to somehow incorporate your music in it with it. And we also too, on top of that, when we did the shirt rip video, we forgot to put our music down in the corner too, so
Oh
that
no.
we really screwed ourselves in that, because people could have been clicking on your sound and then bringing you to your page
Right.
and seeing your band stuff.
Uh-huh.
So there's another part of advice: make sure you put your music down in the
Uh-huh.
corner as your sound. I mean, even if you don't want it playing, at least just put it in the corner and make it silent.
Gotcha.
Because that'll start bringing people to your music and your page.
Yeah, make it as simple as possible for them to go and find that.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah, that I feel like TikTok's algorithm is just like on it was on like a Coke bender for so long. It's just like, hey, you want this? Here's tons of ideas.
Yeah.
Because
And right now it's harder than ever. I know there's a lot of bands that, I mean, they're not getting their stuff pushed at all, to the point where they're just like making new accounts and like trying things like that. It seems they've gotten it to the point where it's super hard to get discovered, with music and
yeah,
stuff. Cause I think they're starting now with like the pay, like influencers and stuff
sure.
like that to push your stuff. I don't know what's going on, but I know there's a lot of musicians struggling right now trying to get their stuff out.
Oh man, that's brutal. Another band I really like that I think does it well is Calling All Captains. They're like a
Oh yeah,
post-hardcore band from
they're
Canada.
doing great.
I love those
Yep.
dudes. My old band, we got to open for their tour on the New York stop.
Okay.
Super nice guys. I love Luke. That was
Yeah.
a great
Yep.
combo.
Luke is awesome. We actually played a show. Our very first, we went on a little tour run, and it was supposed to be us, and then in Chief State was supposed to go
Uh-huh.
on, and then they played like 2 shows with us, and then something happened with their van, broke down, so they had to go back to Canada. But Calling All Captains was at the second one and played there too. So
Sweet.
we got to meet all those guys, and super awesome guys.
Yeah, those guys are great. I feel like I know so many cool bands that you guys should be touring with. Do you know Goalkeeper from Philadelphia?
Yeah, I know of them. I've listened
Yeah,
to their music.
their new record, I Wish I Met You Sooner, is just such a banger. Like those songs are
Yeah.
just so good. And so you this first EP comes out, and then at what point were you able to start playing shows again? Because I feel like was it maybe the second summer since the pandemic started, touring could
Yeah,
kind of
it
happen
was.
again.
Yep, it was basically our very first show. It was like right when the pandemic kind of started letting up and things were opening back up again. We played one in Minot, North Dakota. It just kind of kick started us off, and then right after that, we went to that first little tour run with
Chief State,
Chief
yeah.
State and Calling All Cap. So it was that little run. I think it was like a 7-day run, and then right after that, we did our whole U.S. tour headline,
Uh-huh.
and then that was I mean, I think we started in July and didn't get done till August sometime. We just went back to back 24 shows all across the U.S.
Wow, that's a good long run for
It
so early.
it was it was long. It was a lot of fun, but we were super tired when we were done.
Oh, I can only imagine. My word, that's awesome though. You got to do that. Um, and more of a business question, just because I'm generally curious about this industry. Like when you're touring at this level, are you still doing like door deals with venues? Is merch cuts still a
So
problem, or do you get like guarantees?
so a lot of them too, like, well, that's a lot of like our management side of things, but I know they will. We just start, getting contracts before the
Mm-hmm.
shows, like for guarantees. And we've only ran into like one place, and actually it was in North Dakota when we were going to play a show here that was going to take a really big merch cut and ticket sales and everything. But for the most part, a lot of these venues that we've been playing at have not been taking merch cuts,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been getting guarantees, at the door, through our contracts. So
Awesome. That's I'm glad to hear that. I feel like the merch cut thing is something that's been sort of galvanizing the fan base online a lot lately. I feel like a lot of people have only just learned about that being a thing.
yeah, I mean, it's like my own opinion about it is like, yeah, I know that you're putting on a show and like it's always been like on the promoter, man. If they don't bring the people, then it's kind of just bad, that's on you, But the merch cut thing I think is so wrong in so many ways. I mean, that's a lot of these bands trying to start out, and go get noticed, and like trying to support music and stuff. Is like I don't understand why they're taking one of their only things that they make money on to get to the next show. Like that. Merch is for a lot of these bands starting if they don't get a guarantee. I mean, and they didn't bring in the people, whatever. I mean, well, you got to get to your next state, and we're gonna take a cut of your merch. So like that's not helping a band at all. It's hurting them. It's like for some bands can be crushing and have to go home early because of that.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially because I think if you're like an opening band on a tour, so you don't even really have a say in where you're gonna
Yeah,
play, so you just kind of show up and they're like not helping you load in, or they're not handling it. It's just expected
yeah, yeah. A
sometimes.
lot of those, it's like you don't know who's gonna show. Being an opening band, I mean, you're already like, oh man, I hope people like come, like to stay around for our show and everything, and like selling merch to those people too that came for the headliner that are just discovering you. I mean, can be a really big hassle too. Like, I mean, like it's hard. It's hard for musicians just starting out, regardless. So when you're taking a merch cut from that, it just you're taking basically the only source of income from that show from that band. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you've been fortunate in getting around that so far. Is there what's your favorite what's been your favorite city to play so far?
There's been so many of them, but we really enjoyed Pennsylvania was fun. We did like a show at what the heck was it called again? Uh, I can't remember the name, but we played with Stan Atlantic there, and it's like 20 minutes out of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Um, but it was a really cool venue. That was fun. We just got done playing in Michigan at the Crow's Foot, and then that was with Taylor Acorn, the Somerset, and Grayscale. That one was a really fun one. That one had
Uh,
like 1,000+ people. That was a fun state. We really enjoyed playing at Chain Reaction in California. That was
uh-huh.
fun. Those are probably our best ones that we enjoyed the
Oh,
most.
that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like those are both areas that go really hard for live music. Chain Reaction is one of those places I've heard so much about that. And I don't even know if it's still around, but in Texas, Emos. Have you heard of that club?
I think so, but I don't think we ever played there yet. That was what part of
I
Texas is
think
that?
I
You know
think
what?
Austin.
Austin? Okay. Yeah, we played Austin, but we didn't play there.
Yeah, Austin's a pretty rad city. I spent a lot of time down on 6th Street a few years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, that
nice.
play that's a great music. That's a great music city.
Yeah,
Have you played New York City yet?
yeah. We actually did on that whole U.S. tour run. We played New York, and then we played at like the Electric, something the Electric. I don't know. It was like right down in
Oh,
Manhattan.
Bowery Electric.
Bowery Electric. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah. We played there. That was a fun show.
yeah, that's a great show. That's a great
Yeah,
space.
it was a good turnout for that one too.
Very cool. I'm telling you, man. There's a venue that when you get a chance to play it is gonna blow your effing mind because it is the most spectacularly New York kind of venue that I've been to. It's called Pier 17. It's down in the South Street Seaport, and the shows happen on a rooftop, uh,
Oh, that's
like a
dope.
2,000 3,000 capacity. Um, I saw Frank Turner there recently with the Interrupters, and I'm seeing Yellowcard there next month. But you have like the Brooklyn Bridge behind you while you're playing, and you're just looking out of all of Lower Manhattan.
Right. Okay. I think I've seen videos of that. I think I've seen like one. I think State Champs and Neck Deep. They were in a
Yeah,
festival,
Sad
like I think
Summerfest.
Magnolia
Yeah,
Park.
Sad Summerfest
Okay,
played
that's
there.
right. Okay, yeah. I see. I was just talking to the guys when we were watching. I was like, dude, that would be so sick to play that wherever that is. That is so
Oh
sick.
yeah,
The city skyline everywhere.
yeah. That's definitely one of those, and I can sense it like when I'm watching people on stage, them like kind of
Yeah,
taking in the scene. It's pretty incredible. Like and they run like tons of shows like all through the summer, so it's rad, man.
yeah. I would know. Like if we ever played that venue, that would probably be my favorite. Just because, like I said, being from small town North Dakota and being surrounded by all that big city life, right on stage doing what you love. Oh my god. Yeah, I'd probably be a little distracted too.
Oh my god, totally. Yeah, it's moments like that. Like when I first moved to New York and I saw the city coming into the to Skyline, I was just like, holy shit, I'm making some moves. I'm not from the cornfields anymore, ma.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Um, so I'd love to ask you. So you this recent run, do you guys have tour dates coming up? So you said this new EP is it's going to be out by the time this
Right.
is released. Do you guys have plans to be hit the road again?
So nothing as of right now. I don't know. That could change at any moment. Like I said, like we've getting offers and stuff like that, and when we do, we just kind of up and hit the road. But we haven't really planned anything this summer so far. That doesn't mean that we probably won't. It just we're really taking the time now to start writing our next EP,
Okay.
which we've already got a good lead on, whatever. And we worked with one of the songs with Stevie Knight, who also records Stan Atlantic. Um, I think he's did some stuff with like Demi
Uh-huh.
Lovato, a lot of the like Between You and Me, a lot of those bands too. So we wrote one with him already. That won't be till after all this gets
Mm-hmm.
released. And then we're just kind of working with a couple other producers who were musicians big in the scene that you guys will hear about as we go with these songs that you guys they're well known. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. I think we're doing, just like I said, a lot of writing right now,
Great.
getting the next one ready to go because we're
Mm-hmm.
going to start releasing them bam 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 back to back. Just kind of staying in your face and relevant.
Yeah. When it comes to songwriting, what do you think makes a really killer chorus, like a super catchy chorus?
So I think a really like good, obviously a really good melody.
Yeah.
Something that's got like a 3-to-1, basically what I call it, like where like we rhyme 3 times, or like the melody stays the same 3 times, and then the last one switches up, so that it really like sticks in your head when you're listening to, especially for like TikToks and stuff. When you release like a chorus, you got that same thing over and over
Mm-hmm.
again, and people are just like, man, I've heard this and it's sticking in my head. I got to listen to this whole song or listen to it again.
Yeah.
It keeps them coming back. So I think a really catchy, melody-driven vocal chorus
Uh-huh.
is my
Yeah.
thing.
Like something that like people would like hear and be able to sing by the end of the hearing the song
Exactly.
for the first time.
Something simple but like really catchy, just kind of repetitive.
Yeah, totally. And like and like when it comes to lyrics, are you trying to like impart any sort of like not necessarily a message, but on that vein, are you trying to like I saw a video with Dave Grohl where he described it as like a bumper sticker, like the chorus is like a big idea
Right.
kind of. Are you
Yeah.
ever consciously trying to do that? Are you just kind of like going with like what the melody
We
gives you?
consciously, like, you want the chorus to be the best part of the song, right?
Yeah.
That's what everybody waits for, right? So Yeah, I think he's right in a lot of ways. Like I said, it just that's the main point of the story. Everything else is just things leading up the story, leading up to it, right? And that's the main punchline of the story. You want everybody to get. You want everybody to know that part of the story. So that's kind of how we run things too.
Uh-huh. Fascinating. That one was for me because that's something I'm trying to get better at too.
Yep. You want those words, like, those key words to like be like, I guess, like the sparkly words that everybody is gonna remember, like just, those you could use just like one word, but you always remember that one word in a chorus. Like if you don't know the song, be like, I know that word. How did it go again? Like, I know that word. So you can,
Right.
look it up online, be like, I know like these 2, 3 words, and there it is. There's your band.
Fan Dude, yeah, absolutely. I almost think coming back to full circle with the like 2010s pop punk thing. Like I imagine like if you can think of like the lyrics on Tumblr with like a black and white photo, that's like that's money right
Yeah.
there. Um
Yeah.
have you guys played internationally yet? And if not, where would you want to go?
No, so but we've been in talks with it with management too, and I think like one of the two first places that we were talking about was UK and Australia.
Yeah.
So like it's funny, like our biggest fan base for the longest time has been Australia, like Melbourne, Sydney,
Mm-hmm.
that area. So like I feel like, their pop punk scene over there is so small knitted that like everybody goes to the shows, for pop punk. I mean, they're
Right.
packed. I mean, you could be like an up and coming band and you're packed. And like what they have good over there too is like if you're a good band over there, I mean, you're going somewhere
Yeah.
because the pop punk scene is so small, but yet I mean, when they all come out, they're full supportive, and then you just get boosted that further when you start releasing your songs, and I think it really helps.
That's awesome. Between you and me are from there. Aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Yep, and Stan Atlantic. A lot of those
Oh,
bands coming. They put something in the water over there recently, man, and there's so many good bands coming out of Australia. It's crazy, even in the metal scene.
mm-hmm. Oh my god, yeah. I when I first heard Stand Atlantic, I was like, holy shit. Uh
Yeah.
that like just hooks for days. Like I felt like I just stuck my hand into a tackle box. Just so many good songs.
Oh, so good. Yeah, and they do it so well in like a new way. They got that new pop infusion with it, that just they do it better than anybody. It's so good. The guys from the band, girl and
And
Bonnie,
Bonnie, yeah.
they're amazing. They're amazing. And they're really good musicians, and we've gotten the pleasure of hanging out with them like 4 or 5 times, outside of music, and
Hmm.
it's been awesome.
That's really really cool. I want to get her on the show someday. I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but I feel like she would be an excellent
Oh
conversation.
yeah,
She seems
they're
like
they're so fun.
they all seem super cool, and they just put out like Pink Elephant. I feel like I gotta listen to it again because Pink Elephant was so good, and then it came out during the pandemic, and I still
Yeah.
haven't had a chance to hear many of those songs live.
Oh, yeah, that's a great album. The dinosaur one, and then "Hate Me" is my favorite one on that album. "Hate Me Sometimes,"
Oh,
so good.
that
That's
album,
one of my favorite pop punk songs of all time, honestly.
yeah, because that main riff is just so good. And talking to and I also love the way the song ends with that very quiet electric guitar
Yeah,
finger picking thing.
yep,
And I also like what else was this? Talking about that kind of pop crossover, how they mesh like rock songs with modern kind of pop sensibilities.
yeah. It almost sounds like an '80s pop twist. It's cool. Like they got a lot of they just vibe different than any other pop punk band. I think it's just.
Yeah.
And her vocals are so awesome. Like there was a time where I wasn't a big fan of like female vocals.
Hmm.
I don't know, just it was just me. Like whatever. I don't know why, but she completely changed my view on all that. Like I don't know, her voice. I could listen to it every day of my life. I love Stan Atlantic so much.
Awesome. Changing hearts and minds. I
Yeah,
love to you
yeah.
love to see it. Uh I feel like another place that I would love for you guys to go eventually is Japan because Japan also has
Oh, that would be.
a spectacular like alternative music scene.
Yep.
If you ever listen to the Interrupters live album, they played. I'm pretty sure they played the baseball stadium in Tokyo, and you can just hear like the entire like 30,000 people singing along to the
Yeah.
chorus. Like they cut out and the crowd keeps going, and similar to these like Pier 17 moments. That might be what I start calling them now. Pier 17 moments. You're just like, man, I was just from a small town. I wrote some songs, and look where they brought me.
Yeah. No, I think Japan goes hard. I think like that in the Philippines too. Like for some reason they love it, man. They love their music.
Yeah, Zach from Man Overboard told me like a story of playing like an incredible show in Manila. I think Casey from the Wonder Years. I think they had like a really crazy intense show in Chile once too.
Wow, yeah.
Those are things that I love as well because I've always it is probably sappy to say now, but I've always thought that music really does have the power to bring people from very different life experiences together. Because I was
Right.
in India and I was wearing a Blink 182 shirt and I was like at a hotel having breakfast and somebody was working there was like, I love that shirt. I love that band. And I was like, yes, they're my favorite band. They have a
That's
new album. They do? Yes, it looks like this. It was
yeah,
California at the time. I was like, oh, you should go listen to it. I was like, I will. So like
nice.
how many other things do me and that guy have in common? Probably not too
Right.
much. But
Yeah.
we got that. That's super rad, man. One other thing I'd love to talk to you about before we get out here. I've really been enjoying this conversation, Alex. So I'm very appreciative. Um,
Yeah, no problem.
I would love to similar to geek out on this a little bit. I think my favorite Brooklane song is "Here to Stay." That's probably because I'm pretty sure that's going to be on my Spotify Wrapped for like top songs of the year because it comes up a lot in a lot of mixes and my liked songs, so I
Right.
never skip it. I would love to hear a little bit about the about what that song's about and kind of the writing and recording of that.
So yeah, that was previous relationships. Like when I thought, I was gonna be with this person forever, it was kind of like I lived away from that person, and it was just kind of like a song like written for that person that, like every time I leave, like just don't worry because I'll always be coming back, like because I was working up in this state, while that person lived in another state.
Right.
So it was just kind of like that's why I put like here to stay because eventually I'm gonna try to get down here, get a job and live here with you, like type of thing. So that's what that was about.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like a lot of people too, like with like the internet now and stuff like that, like long distance relationships and stuff, it's something to relate to. So I wanted to make something different, like something about like a long term relate or long distance relationship. Um, Going back to that person, like actually having a positive at the end of it. So yeah, that's what that was wrote about.
Yeah, kind of like a hope, sort of at the time, hopeful for better days.
Right.
With
Yeah.
with this person, and
Yep.
and was that one where the music came first, or the concept and the lyrics came first? Because
So that was like I said, we made that one during like the height of the pandemic, like right when it started,
uh-huh,
and we just kind of just pieced it together. I think what we did is we just started with instrumental first, on acoustic guitar and stuff, and just kind of laid out something that we wanted to flow good, like just come up with a cool guitar part, and then
uh-huh.
just started writing like lyrics to it and like melodies.
Gotcha. Because that chorus again, I have kind of a soft spot for acoustic pop punk songs that have that when the chorus like really opens up with that like muted strings, and just
Yeah,
when you hit that line, "Goodbye, my love, you don't have to cry," it's just so powerful. It like invokes like so many emotions, that chorus, man. And again, to your point, one or two words, and it's there.
yeah. There's kind of like like, and now that I've known too, like after going to Andrew Wade and stuff, like knowing that like even some of the words that you think are powerful, like may not be as powerful as you think. So like just try different things. But like I said, that was during my time of writing that by ourselves, and everything. Like I wanted something like the goodbye, my love part, because at least you would remember that or know that part, the very first line of that chorus.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely is total earworm, totally sticks in your brain. And you had a vocal feature on that song. The guy's name was Jason?
Yeah, Jason Lancaster from Mayday Parade. Yep, he was
Oh,
he was one of the
of course from Mayday Parade. Holy
he he was the vocalist that ended up leaving and then did Go Radio and
Oh,
those. So like
okay.
yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I had always thought, yeah, my Mayday Parade timeline got crossed because I know Derek, I think, is the current lead singer's name, or I might
Yeah, Derek's the one that's still in it.
okay. but Jason was the original lead
Yep.
singer that from that one album that I know the Mayday fans really
Yeah.
like.
Yep. And that was one that I, like growing up listened to and like really looked up to. Mayday Parade was one of my favorite bands growing up. So
Yeah,
like having him on that track was surreal. It was pretty awesome having him sing the lyrics and everything that we wrote.
that's really cool. How'd you get hooked up with him?
So coincidentally, we got signed to the first label we were on, and about I think maybe a couple weeks later, he ended up signing to the sister label of that one.
Okay.
So we ended up just talking to our A&R rep and everything, be like, what would be the chances that we could get him on this? I mean, it's probably a big ask, whatever. And Jason was down to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
we sent him the song and he put his twist on it. Like he didn't change the lyrics or anything, but he just was Jason.
Uh-huh.
And we were just, we were kind of worried because we're like, he's such a big artist and like so good, like we thought maybe he wasn't gonna like try his best on it, whatever. But when we
Uh-huh.
got it back, we were like, oh my god, like he really put his all into it, and it sounded awesome. Like we were blown away.
Uh-huh.
Like it was just cool having him on the track.
Yeah, that's so cool. Not from an artistic standpoint, from a fan standpoint, that has got to be again one of those like pinch me, I'm dreaming sort of
Yeah, it was
scenarios.
weird. It's just like I said, it was surreal. Like just listening to him and idolizing that band growing up and everything, and then all of a sudden, like here he is on your song. Was it's really cool. Like I mean, like nowadays, it's like I know they have like you can pay people to be on your album and like everything. Like you didn't have that access growing
Mm-hmm.
like in the earlier years, but just the fact of having him on there and singing your songs, like it was awesome. It was great. It
That
still felt awesome.
absolutely, because now like Mayday Parade Brooklane, it's like right the same. I've always like I feel like the power of features like that. Rappers have known about this for a long time, but now like rock is picking up on it
Collabs,
too.
yeah.
Coll- That's
Collaborating is like everything now. Like it's just you get the right collab and they share your stuff too. Like you can just blow up that much further because like you're getting their fan base to see you too as well.
mhm.
So
That's really cool, man. Well, as I said at the beginning of this, I love your band. I've got a really close friend who in my sketch comedy group who's gonna flip when I tell him that we had this chat. So, um, dude, I'm so happy for your success and for the great music, and I can't wait to hear more of it. And I really appreciate this, Alex. This was really great.
yeah, man, thanks for having me, man. We're excited for you guys to hear it too, man. And we're really excited to get these new songs out and you guys can hear a little different side of us too, Like we're really excited for this. So appreciate you
Awesome.
having me on.
Of course. And the new EP it'll be out tomorrow,
That
so it'll be out by the time my book
Well,
is released.
technically it's already out in Australia.
Oh, okay.
But it'll be out tonight at like midnight, like 11 o'clock, I think is when it usually drops.
Awesome. So if you're listening to this now, you can go and listen to it. And check it out. I can't wait to hear it. So thank you again, Alex. This was great.
Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate you.
All right, folks. The new EP from Brooklane, Stay Toxic, is available wherever you get your music. You can also check them out. Their website is brooklanemidwest.com. That's got links to everywhere you can get your Brooklane-related things and socials. I thought that was a great conversation. I love talking songwriting with songwriters. It is a art form I am trying to crack and learn more about, get better at, and these conversations are an important part of that process. One other thing I will say about the wildfires is if you saw the a friend of mine on Facebook posted this, if you saw the music video for A Day to Remember's Resentment, that's what New York City looked like. That's sort of like just hazy, burning feeling. So that's what I just came through. So thank you all again so much for being here. That is the show today. Again, Links to everything related to Alex and Brooklane will be in the description below. And if you enjoyed this podcast and think you know a friend who would be interested in it as well, you can send them to awesomedisaster.com. That's got links to everywhere you can get the show. We are on Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify. If you want to hit us with that subscribe button, I would appreciate it. You can also follow me on Twitter at ComicWillCarry, at WillCarry23 on Instagram. And if you want to go and support the show a little bit further, we do have a merch store as well as a Patreon. Links to both of those are also at awesomedisaster.com as well. If you want to check out the merch store, Patreon got some pretty cool designs. And if you're looking for a thing to do this weekend, I hope you find it. Sounded like I was going to promo something, but I want you to find some respite. I want you to find some joy, because that's what we're clinging to in our idea of living in the epilogue, the postscript of human society. So thank you all again for being here, and I will see you next time between Awesome and Disaster. Stay safe, get vaccinated, boosted, and stop out fascism. Take care, everybody.